Silence is louder than words. When you go quiet, she doesn't just notice it, she feels it in her chest. And here's the brutal truth. When you stop talking, that's when she starts thinking the most. Welcome back to Brain Era Fionn. Today, I'm breaking down exactly what happens inside her mind when you go silent. If you've ever wondered what she secretly thinks when you don't call, don't text, and don't chase, this video will open your eyes. Stick around till the end, because once you understand this, you'll never beg for attention again. 1. Her ego starts talking to her first. When you go silent, the first thing that gets shaken isn't her heart, it's her ego. See, women live in a world where attention is a constant background noise. Messages, likes, stares, compliments, it's all there. For most women, attention is so common that it feels like oxygen. They don't even notice it until it stops. And when you, the man who used to be a part of that noise, suddenly pull away, the silence doesn't just feel strange, it feels insulting. Her ego begins the conversation before her feelings even catch up. Why hasn't he called me? Did he forget me? Or worse, does he not want me anymore? At first, she'll try to brush it off. She'll convince herself she's too important to worry. She'll laugh it away with her friends, pretend it doesn't matter, maybe even post something online to show she's living her best life. But deep down, that question starts eating at her. Why him? Why is he the only one not giving me what I'm used to? Here's where silence becomes louder than words, because the ego hates being ignored more than the heart hates being hurt. She can handle rejection if it's loud, clear, and obvious. But silence makes her wonder. Silence creates space for her mind to run wild, and in that space, her ego starts losing its ground. This is why silence is such a powerful move. It doesn't just make her curious, it unsettles her pride. It flips the script. Suddenly, she's not the queen sitting on her throne watching men fight for her attention. Suddenly, she feels like one of the men waiting, guessing, doubting. That shift shakes her confidence. And it's important to understand, when her ego is hurt, she won't show it right away. She'll act cold. She'll act distant. She'll maybe even try to make you jealous. But all of that is a mask to cover what's really happening inside. And what's happening is this. She's thinking about you more than she wants to. Most men never reach this stage because they never go silent. They give in to the urge to chase, to call, to text, to explain themselves. But if you hold your ground, if you let her ego burn in the quiet, you'll realize something powerful. Your silence is not weakness. It's control. And the moment her ego starts questioning itself, that's when the chase quietly begins. 2. She tests your patience. When you go silent, don't think she'll instantly run back into your arms. Women are wired differently. The first reaction is often not, I miss him, but rather, let me see how long he can last. It's a test, whether she's aware of it or not. Think of it like this. Silence sets off an alarm in her mind. At first, it's ego. Then, once she realizes you haven't broken the silence, she flips the script. If I wait this out, he'll cave. He'll be the one crawling back. She wants to check your strength because deep down, every woman wants to know what kind of man she's dealing with. Is he the type who crumbles under pressure or the type who can stand tall in the storm? So, she'll play little games. She might delay her replies on purpose. She might ignore your story views. She might post things online that she knows will catch your attention, like a night out, a new dress, or even a picture with some other guy. All of this isn't random. It's a silent test to see if you'll lose your cool. Most men fail here. They can't handle the waiting. They see her post, they panic, and they rush back with a long, emotional text. They pour out their feelings trying to fix things when in reality they've just handed her all the power back. She smiles to herself because now she knows you were never really silent. You were just waiting for her to notice. And the moment she resisted, you folded. But here's where the real power lies. If you don't fold, if you stand firm, her tests begin to backfire. The more she tries to get a reaction and doesn't get one, the more unsettled she feels. She starts asking herself, wait, why isn't this working on him? Every other guy would have cracked by now. Why is he different? And that's the moment the test flips. What began as her trying to measure your strength turns into her realizing you actually have it. Silence only works if you hold it long enough for her to feel it. If you respond too soon, you show weakness. But if you stay calm, you pass the test without saying a word. This stage is uncomfortable, no doubt. Your pride will scream at you to speak up. But real strength is calm. Real power is patience. When you show her that, you go from being just another man in her inbox to being the man she can't stop thinking about. 3. Curiosity turns into obsession. Here's the psychology no one talks about. Silence creates a vacuum, and the human brain hates vacuums. When there's no information, the mind fills the space with imagination. And imagination is always louder than reality. At first, she's just curious. Why hasn't he texted? What's he doing? That's normal. But the longer the silence stretches, the more dangerous it becomes for her. Because curiosity grows when there's no closure. And soon, it doesn't stay curiosity. It turns into obsession. Picture this. She's lying in bed at night, scrolling on her phone. Normally, she would fall asleep to your goodnight texts or random conversations. But now there's nothing. Her mind won't shut up. Is he with someone else? Is he really done with me? Has he forgotten me? The more questions she asks, the more restless she gets. That's the beauty of silence. It makes you the star of her imagination. And unlike reality, imagination is perfect. In her head, you're stronger, more mysterious, more interesting than you ever seemed when you were always available. Your silence forces her to build a version of you in her mind that she can't escape. And here's something most men don't realize. Women don't miss men. They miss how men make them feel. When you go silent, she starts craving that feeling again. She remembers your jokes, your voice, the little habits that made you different. But because you're not around, those memories get exaggerated. Your absence becomes larger than your presence ever was. Now, the danger for her is that obsession doesn't come with control. She might check your socials 20 times a day. She might stalk your followers. She might even ask mutual friends about you, all while pretending she doesn't care. That's the paradox. Silence forces her to care more while showing it less. And the best part, you don't have to lift a finger. The obsession builds not because you did something, but because you stopped doing anything. That's what most men never understand. Attention feels good, but absence is unforgettable. The trick is to let her sit in that space. Don't break the silence. Don't give her the answers she's looking for, because the more she doesn't know, the more she wants to find out. And that's how silence turns curiosity into obsession. 4. She replays past moments in her head. When you go silent, her brain doesn't just rest. It goes into rewind mode. She starts replaying every moment she ever shared with you, like a movie she can't stop watching. And the reason is simple. Silence forces her to rely on memory instead of new experiences. Think about it. When you were available, always texting, always calling, she didn't have time to sit and think about the past. The present was always there, loud and constant. But now there's only quiet. And in that quiet, her mind starts reaching for what's missing. You. At first, it's small things. She remembers your laugh, the way you looked at her, the little habits she found annoying but secretly missed. Then it grows deeper. She starts replaying entire conversations. Why did he say that to me? Was he hinting at something? Did I misunderstand him? Every word gets analyzed. Every detail becomes important. This is where silence shows its real power. Because in your absence, you become bigger in her presence. You take up more mental space than you ever did when you were around. You go from being just a guy she talked to being the voice echoing in her head. And here's something crucial. The past always feels more romantic than the present. Nostalgia has a way of softening memories. Fights don't feel as bad in hindsight. Good moments feel better than they really were. So when she replays the past, you suddenly become the best version of yourself in her mind. This is why silence works better than begging. When you chase her, she sees the present, and the present looks desperate. But when you stay silent, she sees the past, and the past looks perfect. You win not by saying anything, but by letting her own memories do the talking. And don't underestimate how far this can go. A song you once played, a place you once took her, even a random phrase you used to say. It all comes back to her in your silence. Suddenly, everyday things remind her of you. She'll be walking in a store, hear a song, and boom, there you are in her head again. That's why silence is dangerous for her and powerful for you. You're no longer fighting for her attention. You're living rent-free in her memory. And the longer she replays those past moments, the more she realizes one thing. She doesn't want those memories to stay in the past. 5. She starts comparing you to other men. Silence doesn't just make her think about you. It makes her notice other men. And that's exactly where you win without even trying. See, when you're quiet, you stand out. Most men aren't silent. They're desperate for her attention. They're texting, double texting, reacting to every post, liking every picture. They're chasing like their life depends on it. And in that chaos, you being the only one not chasing suddenly become the rare one. Here's the psychology. Humans don't notice what's normal. They notice what's different. If every man is giving her attention, your silence becomes the loudest thing in the room. You're no longer part of the crowd. You're the exception. And exceptions create curiosity. So, she starts comparing. Why does he not need me like the rest do? Why is he calm while everyone else is desperate? What does he have that they don't? That comparison shifts the power dynamic completely because now you're not competing for her. She's competing in her head to figure you out. And it doesn't stop there. When she sees how other men behave, your silence makes them look weaker. Every text she gets from some guy trying too hard only reminds her of you, the one who doesn't try at all. And that's when your value skyrockets. Think of it this way. Attention is cheap because it's everywhere. Silence is expensive because it's rare. The man who gives nothing becomes more valuable than the men who give everything. And deep down, women crave what they can't easily have. Now, let's be real. She won't admit this out loud. She might even act like she doesn't care. But the comparison happens automatically. It's human nature. She can't stop it. The more she sees others give her what she's used to, the more she realizes that you, by giving nothing, are the one she wants the most. And here's the beauty. You don't have to fake it. You don't have to compete. Your silence is enough. Every other man is doing the work for you by making you look stronger in comparison. That's why silence is so powerful. It doesn't just affect her. It exposes everyone else around her. At some point, she'll look at all the messages on her phone, all the guys trying to get her attention, and then she'll think of you, the one who isn't there. And that thought alone will make her miss you more than all the attention combined. 6. She questions her own value. Here's where silence cuts the deepest. At first, it was her ego. Then it was curiosity. But as time goes on, silence makes her question something she doesn't want to admit. Her own value. Think about it. Most women are used to being the prize in every room. They walk in, and men notice. They post a picture and likes flood in. They send a text and men reply instantly. That constant validation builds a sense of power. She feels wanted, important, above the chase. But when you, someone she actually had attention from, suddenly goes silent, that illusion starts cracking. Her thoughts turn inward. Am I not good enough for him? Did I lose my charm? Maybe he's found someone better. These questions sting because they touch her biggest fear, being replaceable. And your silence highlights that fear in a way words never could. Now, here's the trick most men miss. Women don't lose sleep over men who adore them. They lose sleep over men who don't. Your silence makes her realize she's not guaranteed your attention anymore. And the human mind always values what feels scarce. When attention becomes uncertain, it becomes valuable. She may try to mask it. She might post more selfies, fish for compliments, or suddenly act more active online, but those are just signals that she's trying to fill the void your silence created. She's not questioning whether other men like her. She already knows they do. She's questioning whether you do. And that's the question that keeps her awake at night. This stage is where women often reach out indirectly. Maybe she replies to an old story, sends you a random message, or asks about something meaningless. It's not because she suddenly remembered. It's because she needs reassurance. She needs to know she still matters in your world. And here's where you must stay calm. If you rush in and shower her with validation, you kill the power of your silence. But if you hold steady, let her sit in that doubt. She begins to chase, not for attention in general, but for attention specifically from you. Your silence makes her turn the mirror on herself, and once she starts questioning her own value in your eyes, the balance of power shifts. You're no longer the one proving yourself. She is. 7. Respect replaces resistance. At the end of the silent cycle, something powerful happens. What started as ego, curiosity, and even frustration slowly transforms into respect. And respect is the foundation of lasting attraction. In the beginning, she might resist your silence. She might think, I'll show him. He'll come back. She may even double down, ignore you back, or try to trigger a reaction. But when you don't bend, when you stay unbothered, her resistance begins to collapse. She realizes something that most men never show her. Discipline. It takes discipline to stay silent when you want to speak. It takes strength to remain calm when your emotions scream at you to react. And women respect strength more than sweet words, more than gifts, more than begging. Your silence communicates a message louder than any text could. I'm not controlled by you. I'm not desperate. I'm not waiting on your approval to feel whole. That level of self-control is rare, and rarity commands respect. And here's the twist. Respect is what creates real desire. Attraction without respect is shallow. It fades as soon as something shiny comes along. But respect makes her see you differently. You're no longer just another man trying to win her over. You're the man who doesn't fold. You're the man she can't easily influence. And that makes you the man she secretly craves. When resistance turns to respect, her energy shifts. She no longer tests you to break you. She tests you to see how strong you truly are. And each time you remain solid, her respect deepens. that's when she begins to chase not just for attention, but for your approval. Because deep down, every woman wants to know she's captured the respect of the man she admires. The irony is this: silence doesn't just get her attention, it gets her respect. And once respect enters the picture, attraction becomes inevitable. You don't have to shout. You don't have to prove anything. You don't even have to explain yourself. Your silence already did the talking. And here's the final truth: words can be doubted. Actions can be faked. But silence is undeniable. She might question your texts. She might doubt your promises. But she can't ignore the strength it takes to stay quiet. That's why, at the end of it all, her resistance fades and is replaced by something far more powerful: respect. Silence isn't weakness, it's strength. It's not about ignoring her to hurt her, it's about showing that you value yourself enough not to beg for attention. When you master the art of silence, she doesn't just think about you, she respects you. If this video hit you, drop a comment saying, "I choose silence." Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more Psychology Revealed.